Ladies and gentlemen, we are back again on the Kumbri counter-offensive. It seems like the jihadists don't just understand. They have not been able to break the jinx of Kumbri. Ladies and gentlemen, today we recorded 14 KIA of the JNIM faction of the Al-Qaeda group in Burkina Faso. Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on in Burkina? In this operation, there was coordination of good reconnaissance, intelligence, and surveillance. And in this operation, there were some team of special forces that actually moved in for this close combat campaign. Ladies and gentlemen, the Air Force component was involved. The CBACIR were involved, which is a Special Forces counter-terrorism unit, and the Rapid Intervention Brigade 14th Battalion. And in this operation, 16 motorcycles were recovered, 11 AK-47 rifles were recovered, 43 mags of AK-47 were recovered, 1 PKM rifle, very, very clean. Pharmaceuticals were recovered, like you could see, things like the xylocaine, pain relievers, water for injection, normal saline, and several other drugs, possibly. Phones were recovered, Android phones. You know, the big aspect was that 2.4 million CFA franc was recovered from this jihadists. Now, it begs the question, right? Who has been giving them all this money? You see, sometimes when these jihadists are being captured, the amount of money they end up finding on some bunch of jihadists that live in a hut in a thick bush that has no means of livelihood will shock you. Unfortunately, this money is printed by you know who. So it's easy for them to print it and give it to them. You know, the more they give them this Empire Real Estate's caliber of weapon, the more they submit it to their masters. Ladies and gentlemen, in this operation, there was 14 KIA. Now, the jihadists were caught unaware. It was a stealth mission. They were in the Kumbri location. They were not even planning an assault, right? They were just there, you know, on their own. Maybe on the long term, they would have done something, but it was too late because the surveillance of the Burkinabe, you know, is just very, very elite. And immediately they caught them. You know, the intelligence came. And first of all, the first thing that happened before the drone even dropped the TNT on those jihadists, the reconnaissance aircraft actually sent the precise coordinates to the BACIR unit, which is a unit that also coordinates the movement of mechanized artilleries, and the fired, you know, artillery's shots on them. And you know what the artillery does to people, you know. If it lands, even if it doesn't land where the jihadists are, the shrapnels fly out enough to incapacitate majority of the jihadists. Just 14, they are no match. If the ground unit have actually infiltrated the camp, they would have completely capitulated the jihadists. But we had a situation where after the TNT landed from the mechanized artillery units, the Bayraktar supported it. So the Bayraktar Akinshi TNT actually creased most of the motorcycles. We have the pictures, everything. We have it on our Telegram channel. If you want to see the bodies, right, you can actually visit our Telegram channel to actually, you know, look at what happens to this victim of war. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Burkinabes were not willing to capture any prisoner of war this time around. I think the jihadist prison is already filled up. So anybody caught right now wanted, you know what time it is. So that is the first victory of today. Now, in the second episode of today, we are going to talk about the insights of the top Malian, you know, minister on counter-terrorism and the effort of Mali and their suspicion. So far, so good. Who they think has been, you know, helping the jihadists, funding the jihadists, some things that were said online. Fortunately, most of us think alike. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's listen to what he has to say.
Nous sommes dans une guerre par procuration. Il faut qu'on le comprenne encore une fois. Je dis, il ne faut pas qu'on pense qu'on est juste en compris. Nos populations ont compris le stratagème, ils ont compris le jeu, ils ne sont pas dupes. Parce qu'en réalité, nous sommes dans une guerre par procuration. Il faut qu'on le comprenne encore une fois. Je dis, il ne faut pas qu'on pense qu'on est juste en train de faire face à des groupuscules terroristes. Non. C'est une guerre par procuration où certaines puissances qui sont lâches ne peuvent pas nous affronter directement, utilisent des groupes terroristes, des forces asymétriques pour essayer de nous combattre et revenir par la fenêtre pour obtenir ce qu'ils n'ont pas pu obtenir par la porte. Donc ça, il faut qu'on comprenne ça très clair. Who stands to gain from Bamako falling? And who wants Bamako to fall? Why do people want Bamako to fall? When we answer these questions, we'll understand why, despite all the successes we've achieved, does terrorism continue to persist? These terrorist groups that have drones, where do they come from? Who manufactures them? Who gives them to them? In areas where people can't even get enough to eat, who gives them those 4x4 vehicles, all those resources? When we thoughtfully answer that question, we'll come to realize that in reality, it is actually others. Recently, in fact, just yesterday, I saw on television that the head of French intelligence was being interviewed, and he said he does not believe the terrorists are capable of taking Bamako, that he's not telling us something. He's the only one who thought that, not us. And that it's not even their intention to take Bamako. We say, oh, really? So you know what their intentions are. How do you know what their intentions are? Are you the one giving them those intentions? Are you the one commanding them? Are you the one making the decisions? This can help you understand just how far we've come today in terms of collusion between hybrid forces. In reality, these aren't terrorists. It's a proxy war. But I can assure you that Mali will endure, Mali will get through these difficulties. We will hold on, we will move forward, and we will also continue to face this. I believe that this in itself is an answer to show that Mali does not allow itself to be distracted. With a clear and determined goal in mind, Mali has thoughtfully chosen to replace, has chosen to do so with sincere partners who are not involved in neo-colonial scenarios, but who work so that we can move forward. I think this is the best possible answer, that not only the Malian army and the defense forces.
Now you can see from the video that the truth is even all over everything these foreign medias. They say, you know, they expose themselves subliminally without knowing that they've already exposed themselves. You just need to be calm enough, and you need to be very, very calculative enough to pick out the facts in everything they are saying. So, how do you say Bamako is about to fall? Okay, you said Bamako is not going to fall. Okay, the intention is not even to capture Bamako. So, how do you know what the jihadist is thinking if you're not communicating with the jihadist? How can you speak for the jihadists if you are not the one that has been planning and orchestrating the attack, giving them satellite information? You know, sometimes when we post some of this skirmish here and we actually talk about the reconnaissance and the satellites, you know, movement, you know, the satellites bearings they provide, the satellite coordinates of the camps being provided to these jihadists, you just ask the question that who has been doing all of this? But ladies and gentlemen, it's just so interesting to see that the Malian are actually ahead of schedule. They know all these things. And you know, a problem that is known is a problem that is half solved. But you can drop your opinion on what you think in the comment section. Let's move to the next episode, right? There's a big question I'd like to ask from a lot of people today. And the question is simple, right? Why is it that most of the jihadists that, you know, most of the top jihadists that is on the American wanted list, they're not just wanted, you have bounties on them. Abu Salam Umaru was deleted last week. Just last week, yeah. Abu Salam Umaru had $18 million bounty on him. There was a jihadist that was deleted by the African Corps in Mali. This particular jihadist was involved in the notorious 9/11 attack. These are not Malians. These are not Mauritanians. These are not Africans, right? How did they end up in Mali? A lot of people don't understand what I'm about to bring up, okay? Stay with me. And several other top jihadists from Libya, from different places, came to Mali and they've met their end in Mali. Could it be that most of those people that are on wanted lists were promised clemency? Could it be that they were promised freedom if only they will go to Mali and fight a proxy war on behalf of you know who? I'm thinking, why are all the most notorious jihadists that we've seen so far, why are they ending up in Mali? To what benefits? A lot of people, you see, when the Malian minister said, this is a proxy war, you can actually understand that. In fact, at this point, France is not the only country going against Mali. Yes, France is not the only country going against Mali. Let's not get it twisted anymore. Apart from the fact that there are some African puppets that are doing everything overtly and covertly, the United Nations is involved because they recently said Mali is now one of the countries that need international help. That the Malians are very, very hungry. That in fact, if care is not taken, famine could break out. They are just fashioning a lot. African Union has said its own. So Mali is really facing. Mali is fighting on against all odds at this point. Because my skepticism is, why is it that some of the most sophisticated jihadists on the planet are ending up in Mali? And most of the time you hear that, oh, he was involved in the Tango attack. America is looking for this. America is looking for that. How come somebody that was involved in 9/11 attack even entered Mali? How? Not Africans. Some of these people are Yemenis. Some of these people are Syrians. Some of this, you just ask the question, how? What are they doing there? And they are on the wanted list. So the question is, before they got on the wanted list, could it be that the people that actually placed them on the wanted list were the ones that even used them before they even placed them on the wanted list to destabilize somewhere else? I think the picture is getting more clearer that all these jihadists that they talk about, they are being created, they are being manufactured. Their ideology is manufactured by a certain group of people that is using them to fight regimes. I think that is what this war is about, right? So now let me give you something to really make everything look more clearer. According to Western and American sources, right, they call it Jamestown Foundation. They recently reported a particular event that happened in Mali. Do you know that people in Africa, even the farmers, did not know that they actually did something incredible on that very day? There was a particular airstrike in Mali. Even we did not know we did not get the intel on the precise location of that environment. The names were not out there. But we were fed this information that the Malian armed forces actually carried out an airstrike. And in this airstrike, several jihadists were neutralized in their pickup trucks. Some were running, they stayed on them, they made sure that they finished them off. But guess what? Even the farmers could not identify, because, after the operation, you know what happens when the Barrack hit with a lot of precision. You can't identify who is who anymore. So the Malians actually could not even identify who was there and who was not there. They just knew that, okay, they actually displaced certain jihadists. But guess what? It was an American and Western media sources that actually said that the farmers eliminated a big Al-Qaeda Islamic Maghreb leader. His name is Abu Ubaidah al-Hanabi. That's his name, Abu Ubaidah al-Hanabi. Look at his face. Even his face should tell you that this is one of the most notorious brand of this jihadist that you can find anywhere. Even the Malians took him out. They did not know. So the question is, how did the Western media know that he had been taken out? They were not there. They are not in Mali. Western media, they are not in Mali. So the question that we should be asking is, how did they know that he had been taken out? They knew, in fact, they knew to the point that they knew the precise location where he was taken out. So the question is, so the whole thing is, it's as if somebody is aware of how all these attacks, how they happen. Somebody is aware of the movement of whoever. It seems as if somebody is behind this whole attack. Hence, this is a proxy war. This is a serious proxy war. Another thing, when Russia negotiated the uranium deal with Niger Republic, nobody spoke about it. How did they know? So I think not only do we have to watch without, we equally have to watch within. Because they can't do this alone too. They still need some agent of espionage that will be within. We need to be more careful than ever at this point in time. Ladies and gentlemen, man, we've gotten to the home straight and we need to maintain this till the very end. But anyway, I feel like Mali is fighting extremely hard. And thank God for them, they have a great leader that can withstand this pressure. If not, so this fight is beyond just the common jihadi narrative. This is a big fight. This is a proxy war. Ukraine is involved, that we know of. You heard what the minister said, the country he mentioned. And could it be that America is equally involved? That's the billion-dollar question. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy 72 Android signing out, said. But before I go, it's just another episode on the board. Thank you for watching, and God bless you.